What's up, guys? I'm Ryan with Ryan Epps Fishing. Got the boat back out today. We are out here. That is Watts Bar Lake behind me. That's where I spent my day out there today. Put a few fish in the boat. But today's video is going to be about river fishing. Spent a few days this week, 3 or 4 days, and I've basically hit several of the rivers around our area. We have been out to the Hiwassee. We've been up here to Watts Bar twice, and actually even went up on Douglas and ran up into the river up there. So y'all are going to see some river fishing today. The clips are going to be from several different days out there on several different bodies of water. So y'all watch some fish catches, and then when that's over, we're going to get back in the boat. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about how we did it, where we did it, why we did it. So today's video, river fishing. Hope y'all enjoy it. Y'all sit back, relax. Y'all enjoy today's video. Got him. All right. Boom. That's what I'm talking about. Got it in the throat. First fish of the morning. On the frog. That looks a lot better right there. Looks a lot better. I'll take that. Yeah. All right, that's the first frog bite. Oh, I got a fear that they own that frog this morning. Oh, I like that. Whoo, do I like that. Got him. Get up in there. That was a close one right there. There we go. Ain't quite gonna cut it. We're looking for something a little bit bigger than that. But we taking bites and I ain't complaining. Let's get us some more. Got him. That is not a bass. Oh man. Striper. I wanted that swim bait though. Whew, there we go. Not what we're after today, but I will take that. Little striped bass. That's what I'm talking about. Ooh. There we go. Could not get these fish to hit a moving bait whatsoever. So, tied on the jig. There we go. I'll take it. I like it. Got him. Oh, one on a moving bait. Quit. There we go. Finally got one on the crankbait. We may have a little something going now. See what we got. All right. We got a runaway fish here. Whoo! All right. That is not what we're looking for. We're gonna have to do a lot better than that today. My pole is destroyed now. Look at that mess right there. Looks good, don't it? Them dinks, they'll put a hurting on you. There we go, fish number one. I like it. I don't like that though. We're gonna have to fix that. Good Lord. Woo! Wow. Wow. Look at there. That's that is impressive right there. That is impressive. I am not sure how that happened. Ah, those dinks are killing me. Killing me. Quit. Lord have mercy. We have got to do better. That is not going to cut it. We're getting bites. Could be worse. Could not be getting bites. So little guy. Is that little spotted bass? Was not expecting that. Huh. Been a while since I caught a spotted bass. We have got to find some quality. Caught a few fish today, but man, quality has been a struggle. Well, if nothing else, we have achieved the trifecta today. Smallmouth, largemouth, and spotted bass. I'm glad that I have got to show you all what true dinks look like in every species. That shit takes talent right there. So that's what we was trying to do. I'm glad we was able to do it. All right, guys, so let's talk about what's worked for me over the past week or so. I know that you all just got through seeing a whole hodgepodge of clips from a lot of our different local lakes and rivers. And, you know, there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot changing. We've entered that fall transition, so bait's on the move, bass are on the move. There's a lot of things changing. And you got to be able to adapt to that. Now, I can't say that I've done a very good job of that over the past week or so. We've put some fish in the boat, but not on a very consistent basis. And, you know, it hasn't been easy, but the bite has been okay at times. So, you know, it's basically just about covering water and, you know, looking for those areas that have got a lot of shad activity. And the bass have congregated in on them. But let's start out with the Hiwassee. I had went up there first in this little week-long fishing excursion, a little over a week actually. But I ran up the Hiwassee. It's a river system on Chickamauga. Now, a lot of times, what you need to understand about the Hiwassee is it's a lot, the water's got a lot more color to it usually than the main lake does. You don't see a lot of the floating vegetation and a lot of the hydrilla and stuff that you do out on the main lake. And I ran up it a pretty good ways. Now, the farther that you go up the Hiwassee, you start getting more concentrated current, and the water does clean up a little bit. But I was basically focusing on channel bends, main river cover on channel bends. Usually when I'm breaking down a river, I usually start with the channel bends, and more specifically channel bends that have backwater areas near them. That's my #1 priority when I'm looking at a river system. So I started doing that, and I really didn't get a great pattern going that day. Didn't catch a lot of fish, but I was able to put a few fish in the boat, and the main player that day was throwing a frog. I was throwing a topwater frog around laydowns on those main river channel bends, and I was targeting the bigger laydowns, and those are what seemed to have a few fish on them. You know, I know I got a couple blow-ups there early on that kind of clued me into where they were positioning at. And I basically ran that pattern the rest of the morning until I lost it there about 11 or so. Caught a few fish. But laydowns, big laydowns, you know, that were more prominent out off the bank than a lot of your smaller stuff. And I was able to get a couple bites on isolated rock and isolated stumps more closer to the bank. But the frog that I was using that day was a Booyah pad crasher. Now that color right there is Old Smoky. I don't want you to get hung up on the color. I'm not a big believer in the color of a frog making a huge difference. But that's a pretty good natural color, and that's the color I went with. Like I say, I was able to put a few fish in the boat doing that. Once that bite died, I pretty much lost everything that I had. I ran up the river, I ran down the river. I actually ended up going down into Chick for, you know, about an hour or so and caught one more fish out of some grass down there. But it was very tough out there that day. And I thought that once the frog bite died, I'd be able to keep catching those same fish flipping, but that wasn't the case for whatever reason. So that's what happened on the Hiwassee. Now let's shift forward. Came up here to Watts Bar. I've been trying to target the river systems, and I ran up the river system here. One of the river arms here on Watts Bar is the Clinch River. It comes out of Mountain Hill. Basically came up here and stayed on that exact same pattern, but here I was targeting backwater areas, and I've been targeting that for 2 days. Now, the best day that we had up here, I actually didn't get that on film. They were eating a frog pretty decent. Caught a few fish on a frog. Caught, I think, my 2 best fish of the day on that same pad crasher. And then I was able to keep that flipping bite going a little bit. Put a few more fish in the boat, flipping a Texas rig around. I actually took a trip one of the days this week to Douglas. Ran up the river there to the Leadville Bridge, Rankin area, Rankin Bridge. And what I found up there was not too good at all. If you hit that just right, that bite up there can be outstanding. The problem that I ran into this week when I ran up there was they've dropped Douglas to the point now that most, if not all, of your cover up there is out of the water. For whatever reason, it was very difficult for me to get a bite on a moving bait. You know, a lot of times you're thinking square bill, spinner baits, swim jigs, you know, the whole 9 yards of moving baits generally are at your disposal in situations like that. But for whatever reason, they weren't. I started out throwing a Strike King 1.5 square bill, which is usually your mainstay go-to square bill. It works 90% of the time. I could not get them to eat it. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you know, there's a lot of fishermen around here that are thinking the exact same thing I am. You know, they're wanting to get in on that early fall transition, and they're wanting to target them fish too. So those fish have seen a lot of 1.5s. They've seen a lot of square bills. They've seen a lot of spinner baits. So what I had to do, you couple that with the fact that the bait fish that they're back there keying in on are very small. Your big schools of gizzard shad and stuff on Douglas, I haven't seen a ton of them up there shallow back in the creeks. At least the creeks that I've been in. So a lot of what's back there is still your small threadfin. And to mimic that, I had to really downsize what I was throwing. And I wanted to give them something different. You know, I was having trouble getting bit on the 1.5. So what I ended up doing, and I was able to catch a fish doing this, was I went down to a Spro Little John. Very small crankbait, very natural color. It really mimics those little thread fin that are back there. This subtle little crankbait right here was just enough of a difference from your standard, you know, wide wobbling 1.5 that they probably seen 20 or 30 of them already that day. I was able to put a fish in the boat doing that. After I felt like I had done all I could do back there in the very back of that pocket, I actually started working my way out and looking for fish that were on their way back in. So other than rock, there's not a lot for those fish to hold to. Now there is a lot of rock, so to simplify things, if you can find something different, a stump, a lay down, you know, anything like that that's on that rock, usually that's a prime area. and I was able to pull another fish out of that same pocket by targeting a lay down on that rock about halfway back, a fish that I'm sure was transitioning and on its way to the back of that pocket. And what I caught that fish on was a 3/8 ounce jig. Now that's a Gman Buckeye Lures Gman Ballin out jig. That's my favorite jig on the market, period. It's your standard just green brown color. What I've got on there is a Strike King twin tail minnow scrub. It's your rage tail minnow scrub. It's in that same color, that blue crawl color. This little trailer right here works great on this ball head jig. You know, this is a small compact jig, and a lot of times I want a small compact trailer on it, and that little twin tail grub does great on there. It gives it just enough thump, but it still keeps that small profile. Now, what I'm throwing my Texas rigs and my small 3/8 ounce jigs and stuff like that on, this is a 6'10" Duckett Triad. This is a medium. I like the lighter powered rods for my smaller Texas rigs, my smaller jigs like that. That's just a personal preference. I like a higher speed reel for applications like that. This is a Quantum Smoke S3. This is a 7.3 to 1 gear ratio. The line that I've got on there, this is 15-pound fluorocarbon. You know, it doesn't bother me one bit to throw 12 or something like that on there, but here in these river systems, you're throwing around a lot of cover and a lot of nasty cover. So I did bump that up from 12 to 15-pound test line, just to keep a heartbreak from happening. Now, what I am throwing my frog on, this is a 7-foot Duckett Triad, medium heavy. I like just a little bit longer rod for my frogs, a little bit heavier rod for my frogs. And you know, if I was fishing this frog in grass or extremely thick cover, you know, I could bump that up. But you know, just throwing under overhangs and some of these lay downs and stuff, which is all that I've been doing with this frog, that 7-foot medium heavy works out great. I am throwing it on braid, and the reel that I've got this on is a Diawa Tatula 100 XS. This is an 8.1 to 1 gear ratio. I like a high speed reel for this application too, and any topwater for that matter, just to be able to pick that slack up and be more efficient with it. So that's all I got for y'all today, guys. If you like the videos, make sure you go hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. That's going to let you all know when I put out all my new videos. If you got any questions or comments for me, feel free to leave those in the comment section down below. I will get back to y'all with any answers I can give you. Until next time, y'all make some time, get out there on the water and catch you a few. I'm Ryan Epps. Y'all have a good one.